At 6 p.m., I'd like to call the Northwood Board of Selectmen's meeting to order on August 1st, 2017 at 6 p.m. We'll have roll call.
TJ Hudson, here.
Scott Breyer.
Rick Wolf. Now we'll ask everybody to join in on the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I guess moving on to citizens forum, if anybody would like to speak. Now is the time for public comment, if anybody has any public comment. You're just in time, we waited for you.
Thank you. Tom Chase, Catamount Road. I have three quick items. One is, I've spoken with Steve Roy in the last month or so about his interest in serving on the Conservation Commission. He met with some of us during the month of July. He's expressed an interest in serving as an alternate. I would encourage you, gentlemen, to revisit your decision and to reappoint him to the Conservation Commission as an alternate. Secondly,
Do you know, I'll let you finish, but then I just had a question. Has he submitted a letter of intent to be an alternate?
I don't know. I'm here to say, if you get it, I'd love to see you make that decision sooner rather than later.
I'd just be waiting on a letter of intent.
Good, excellent. Glad to hear that. I'll pass that along to him. Thank you. Does that subtract from my minute and a half? The second thing I'd like to say is that the milfoil program that we have at Jennis Pond and also at Pleasant Lake awaits full funding. I understand that the way the money was allocated for this year was to give monies to Jennis as well as to Pleasant Lake. And I rose at the deliberative session to add an additional $3,000 in the hopes that, should the Mary Waldron Beach ramp be completed, and should the citizens who use that boat ramp and live on Bow Lake realize the threat posed to the lake by milfoil being introduced, that they would initiate a milfoil lake host program. I don't know that that's happened, and I hope that it will. In the meantime, I would hope that the Selectmen would allocate those monies to Jennis and to Pleasant Lake so that they have those monies on hand to continue their valuable service to the community with their lake host programs.
I think we need to receive a request for the money from you people before you get the money.
That's good
Plus,
to
we
know.
already gave them the money.
That's good to know.
Did we already give them the amount they asked for?
Pleasant Lake was already paid out.
From a procedural basis. And that wraps me up for this evening, and thank you for the time.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to make any public comment before we move on? Hal? Not tonight?
I'll wait for the appointments.
All righty. I guess moving on to Jennis Pond, milfoil discussion.
Public hearing.
Yeah, oh, that's right too. Sorry, I excluded something. We do have a public hearing tonight, and it's been noticed at the library, the town hall, and the post office. The public hearing notice says the Northwood Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing at the Northwood Town Hall on Tuesday, August 1st, 2017, to accept additional New Hampshire DOT block grant funds. Is what I see here, the amount of money is $87,000, $87,444.57. Does anybody have any comment? Would anybody like to explain what this is about, Joe?
Yes. So the state, as far as I understand it, the state had a surplus of funds this year, and they wanted to hand it back to they were looking for ways to do it, and they handed it back to the towns in the form of a block grant. There's a whole list of allocations, which towns got what, and Northwood's was 87 and change. This can be used just like any other, just like the previous block grant could be used.
Roads.
Oh, just that correction there. The state had actually allocated money in the budget, additional funding. There wasn't like any kind of surplus.
Right.
So it was appropriated through the legislative process.
Any comment, DJ?
No.
Need to make a motion to accept this, do we? or
Well,
is
no,
it
I have
all
a
done?
question. So we have a budget, and the budget's already been set. So my question is, how'd they say, did we have to accept this? Because I'm trying to understand the process on this. Do we actually, because without a town meeting, we don't have the authority to increase the budget unless you're aware of a state statute that,
You are, this is just like a grant. We're accepting unanticipated funds,
and we can spend them this year.
and you could spend it this year, and if not, this grant actually rolls over.
So
it
what's
can actually
the
roll over to next year.
RSA that accept this money? What statute's it under?
I didn't bring the RSA with me.
Any other comment? Any comment from the public? Seeing no comment?
I just got a question. If we accept this, what are we planning on using this for? If we have plans to use it for this year?
We need to
I
have
would,
discussion on
I
that.
would imagine,
Yeah.
I would like to see it go directly into
Paving?
paving some additional roads.
Paving or fixing roads.
Yeah, I don't wanna, I wanna see it go directly towards that, not,
That's all I wanted to know. That's where I was headed to.
I agree. So, we're just gonna leave it at that for now?
well, I just, give me some comfort, and I think I remember, but I wanna be sure. Give me some comfort if I can see the RSA that explains how we accept this money,
How we
kind
can
of
spend it.
Well, I know how we can spend it, I just wanna make sure, this is something that we have to wait till next year. I just wanna I think we can, but I just wanna, dot my i's, cross my t's.
I have a letter from the governor's legal counsel on this.
I think we had a copy.
Somewhere.
I saw something on that.
Although it doesn't have the RSA, oh, wait a minute. Here you go. RSA 32:7:IV, is that 4? Money from the state grant for specific purposes, oh, that's non-lapsing. Pursuant RSA 31:95, the Board of Selectmen requiring a public hearing to hold amount of funds received is greater than 10,000. So under RSA 31:95B, number 2, the Board of Selectmen have to hold a public hearing to accept grant funds such as this over $10,000.
Okay, so we're holding a public hearing, does this, under that same statute, does it allow us to expend it in the same year that we accept it?
Yes. Not only that, but this is allocated just like the rest, just like the previous block grant.
Could I take a look at that?
Per John Formella, yes, legal counsel for the governor. They've given us permission to use this to spend on the roads as well as equipment if the town desires.
I knew that was coming.
I'm giving the Board of Selectmen options. I would hate to be seen as hiding something.
Include specific one. Yeah, I think if, per this, if we look at Senate Bill 38, I guess there's specific language in there that allows us to expend it this year.
It's fine with me.
So I'll make a motion to accept these additional funds regarding Senate Bill 38, additional appropriation for highway block grants in the amount of
$87,444 something.
$87,444.5 with the intention that it's going to be used on road construction.
I'll second that.
The only discussion that I have is that we get together and decide as a team what this money is to be spent on.
He said road construction, so.
I know, but
So you,
so we're all on the same
would you
page
like
on what
to-
it gets spent on.
yeah, I think the intention of the legislature on this was to get additional funding to the towns because they realize there's an infrastructure problem. And I wouldn't like to see it. I do not want this spent on equipment.
I agree.
I'd rather get it done on fixing roads.
I agree.
That wasn't my point. My point was
Which roads?
that you, I, and everybody else should be agreeable on what projects it's gonna be spent on.
Oh,
That's what I
yeah.
was referring to. That was my thought of it. That's the only thing I have to say. Any other comment?
Nope.
Seeing for no, oh, Joe.
Just to let the board know, I know there's been discussion about fixing the water, the drainage issue on Bow Lake, and I have asked for quotes. It's just to give you guys an idea of what it would cost to fix that water problem. It's by no means a guarantee you guys will choose, obviously,
By
but
the ball fields.
yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that I am trying to get you numbers for that, because that's been an ongoing thing.
Yep, thank you. Guess there's no more comment. I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. You all set to move on?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Howell, I'll try you again.
I ask that my fellow board members join me.
He's more than welcome. There's up 5 chairs there.
Oh, no.
There's plenty of chairs for everybody.
Well, why don't we have everybody introduce themselves, just... I'm not sure you know everybody. Dave Copeland,
David Copeland.
Steve Steiner,
Steve Steiner.
Ann Bailey.
you know me.
Mike Moore. Paul Dunleavy.
So I was the president of the Genesee Pond Association for the last 4 years. Mike's taking over, and then Dave will be the vice president this coming year. So the reason for coming in, Tom talked to the importance of milfoil, but I just want to give you an idea about this. When I do the payroll on the lake host thing, the lake hosts give me a detailed list of all the boats that have come in, where they've come from, and where they've been since the last time they were in the water. So this was on the very first set of payroll. I just want to list off Arlington Mill Reservoir, Beaver Lake. Beaver Lake is in Derry. Arlington Mill Reservoir is in Salem. Brindle Pond, which is in Barnstead. Massabesic Lake, which is in Auburn. Nashua River, which is obviously in Nashua. And Northwood Lake. So this is the very first payroll. And we had all those ponds which already have milfoil come visit us. And that's just on the very first set of payroll. And I happened to be the week before at the water sampling seminar that the state puts on. And at that seminar, they always have Amy Spagulia, or however you say her name.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yes.
You listed a bunch of lakes there, including Massabesic.
Yep.
So you're saying all those lakes have milfoil?
Yeah, what we do, the process for the lake hosts is when the boat comes, the first thing we ask is, where was it last? Because the state gives you a list of all the places that have invasive species in. So I tell them pay particular attention, but the other thing is if they haven't been cleaned and drained and dried for 5 days, it can carry the material, and even if it's like invasive species like mussel eggs or things like that, if they haven't been dry for 5 days, they could slip by and contaminate the pond. So we usually tell them to go back, power wash their boat, or come back after it's been dry for 5 days, which is one of the reasons why we go with paid hosts on the weekends and stuff, so that we have people that feel that they can do that. So anyway, we requested funding through the warrant article, a new warrant article this year, which did get approved in its full amount. And based on that, I went to New Hampshire Lakes and submitted a project or an application for a program that totals $11,289. And that was based on us requesting $4,500 from the town, and that was part of the warrant article, and that was approved. And I guess the reason I'm here and the reason the other folks are here, and they can speak if I miss some points, is we're struggling right now because the town gave us part of that funding. We got $1,750, but that's not the $4,500 we requested. I understand we want to ask for half up front and half after the first half of the year, but $1,700 times 2 is only $3,500, and we could really use the additional money. We've noticed, and we've also stepped up and said, look, we need to start funding not just weekends, which, I mean, if you want to understand, this is part of the training that they pass out every year, and they show the same slide every year. If you want to have a good program, what they say is staff the ramp with paid hosts on the weekends, holidays, and stuff, because that's when other folks like us are having friends over, and it's very hard to get volunteers, and it's very inconsistent. And then the other thing is, before the summer and at the end of the summer, come September, the milfoil doesn't go away, but a lot of the college kids go back, and you just have to have paid hosts to keep the folks. So anyway, we have a paid host program for the weekends and holidays. There's some volunteer time, and we're trying to expand that this year. But you really need, and it comes out to $11,000, and we need the help from the town. We can't raise that all ourselves. So I don't know if anybody else wants to make any other points, but I mean, it's important to us, and that's why there's so many people here tonight.
If I could just make a point, Steve Steiner again. I've been at Jennis Pond for about 15 or 16 years, and I feel that we've been very vigilant as a shore owners association in trying to protect our pond. I understand that Northwood Lake is infested with invasive species, and I wouldn't for a moment suggest that the town take any of the monies away from Northwood Lake, which clearly needs to keep on top of this. But I can't think of a better example of the old adage, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And the amount of money that we're asking for the town to help us remain vigilant and staff it with trained, paid lake hosts is a fraction of what it costs once a lake is infested. In addition, in the town's best interest, the town collects property taxes from everyone based on our property value, and it's estimated that property values drop a minimum of 30% when a lake is infested with an invasive aquatic species. So it would seem to me, again, $1 spent today may save, hundreds of thousands of dollars spent in the future when the town loses significant revenue from properties that have a high value. And I think, again, it's not like we're just standing there with our hand out. We've worked hard to protect our pond, and we're asking for the town to help us a bit, and so that we can ensure that we continue to protect the pond, maintain our property values, which are important to us, the owners, as well as the town, and prevent the town from being in a situation where you have another pond that's infested. Thank you.
Any more update? Weren't you getting help from the town of Pittsfield? Because I know that was,
Well, quite frankly,
mean,
we've brought that up with the town,
in their town.
we brought that up with the folks living in Pittsfield, and quite frankly, this year, they've committed more than the town has. So, I mean, the folks from
More
Pittsfield,
than Northwood has, is that what
how
you're
much
saying?
have they submitted?
over
I'm sorry,
$2,500. The folks on the
For the year,
Pittsfields,
it's 2,500?
yeah, the folks
They
on the,
didn't do more than us then. That's what you just,
well, we only got 1,750
so far.
Can I ask a question, Mr.
Go
Chairman?
ahead.
But I want to just,
Well, when-
DJ, we've tried to go to the town of Pittsfield, and man,
They're tough.
it's tough. And that's why we spoke with the folks that are on the Pittsfield side and said, look, you can try to help us. And in general, they just said, look, it's easier for us, and I think more straightforward for us to let you know we're just going to submit some money directly so that you're sure you got, funds.
Well, that was nice
So-
of them.
Yeah.
My question is, I've supported giving money to this in the past, but I do have to ask this question because I find this as a nonstop. Every year, we want a little bit more, we want a little bit more. And I give you my personal opinion on this, and you're probably not gonna be happy, but I own my house. I invest in my house. My house is my asset. Now, I don't live on a lake, but your house, you pay more taxes, but you also have a higher valued asset because you own that house. So it's in your best interest to protect that lake, to keep your resale value up. I guess I'm starting to get bothered by the fact that residents that don't own waterfront property are being subsidizing your neighborhood.
Well, you could
But
look-
that's a fact, isn't it? Because like, if you go to sell that house and that house is, the lake's contaminated milfoil, we always get this threat, like, you're gonna lose your property tax, but aren't you gonna lose some of your investment in your home?
Certainly, and that's
Yes.
that's why we're doing it. We're not asking you for all the money. We do more than our share. If you look at the $11,300 that we expect for our program this year, we're asking the town to put up approximately 40%. So it's a 60-40 partnership. And I mean, all you got to do is go up to Alton and see what they did up there. All you got to do is go to, like, Wolfboro to see what they're paying.
I'm just telling you, and we've had this conversation before, that this whole milfoil thing, I understand like Northwood Lake actually has a problem, but there's gonna be a point when taxpayers that do not live on the water are gonna be, why do we keep subsidizing this?
Well, I think what we have to do is look at what the folks have said so far. And on the particular warrant article for this year, they were pretty overwhelmingly saying we should do it. I mean, we specifically said, let's put, just for this, I think, part of this reason, let's specifically say, in a separate warrant article, does the town want to support prevention? And I think it was 60 or 65% in favor, 35% against. So I think, the will of the people saying spend the money.
If I could just make another point here, how about the money that's being used to subsidize Northwood Lake, which is already infested? Are the people in the town opposed to that? And I think in a way, I can say, well, I don't have any children in school. I'm subsidizing the schools. I think that there are certain things that people would be willing to subsidize because the income stream for the town is significant. And losing 30% of there are 98 homes or thereabouts around Genus Pond. would be a significant loss in the town revenues, much more than the amount that we're asking to just, subsidize some of the money that we're already spending from our own Shore Owners Association.
Yes, Guy, I would feel a little bit differently if we were asking for all the money for the program, all
Well,
11.
I'm okay with the money this year, but I'm trying to understand something I might have forgot. You asked for $4,500, and did that somehow get lowered, or? I know that the
My
warrant
rec-
article passed, why did we only give them 1,700, is there a
My
reason?
regulations,
Because
It's
normally
trying
we
to
don't
remember.
give it all out, we give it out in two portions.
Yeah, but if they
normally.
got 45, why didn't we
I
give
could be
them
wrong, I could be wrong, but
2250?
wasn't it under the impression that when it was
I
broke
can't
down
answer
at the
that.
town meeting, it was 35, 3,000 for Mary Waldron's and 35 for Pleasant Lake? There was a reason why we did it down to 35.
No, that's what,
Okay, well,
I know we've had
What
some
is the, I
conversations.
just want to know what the
Just saying,
exact,
that's-
okay, how much was the total, I just want to know the
10,000.
numbers.
10,000.
So you got $10,000 for the whole warrant article for everybody, right, for the preservation?
Right, well, let's go back. And I'll admit, my memory isn't perfect, but what I recollect is, we asked for $4,500. I thought Pleasant Lake asked for $2,500, so that got us up to 7,000.
Okay, and then,
And then I know that at the deliberative session, Mr. Chase got up and said, well, what about if other ramps, including the one that we just fixed up, want to have a Lake Coast program, we should have funds available to encourage them to do so, which I think makes sense.
so you got, so you got 4,500.
I thought it was 35 to each.
Well,
plus-
no, I'm just thinking, so the Three Lakes was 3,000 to Pleasant, right?
2,500, I thought.
2,500 to Pleasant, plus,
flip to the
Four-
first page.
what?
There's a breakdown on the front page of that.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, and so what you're asking tonight is, we've given you 17, so you want the balance?
If we could, please. I mean, I'll be very honest. I mean, we appreciate any money we get. And we would really like to run the program for the full extent that the New Hampshire Lakes recommends, which is 20 weeks. And we just can't afford that, raising the money ourselves. I mean, we just can't. I mean, like Steve said, the folks pay high property taxes already, and they're
So-
saying,
So, okay, so,
So, yes.
so we could give you 2,800, grant you 2,800 tonight, and that would bring you up to your 4,500. All right.
2750.
2750.
2750.
I thought we got 17.
I thought you said you got 1,700.
1750.
Oh, okay, so you got,
Yeah, you know what, I'm thinking about this. The easy way to think about it is.
so 27, so if I was to make a motion at 2,750,
I would appreciate
all right.
it.
I'll make a motion to allow approval for Genesis Pond Association to receive $2,750. I just got to step away for a second because family's trying.
Yep, that's fine. I have a couple of comments I'd like to make, if I can still do it. Maybe it'll fill in while he stepped out for a minute. I support this, and I just feel at some point, we're gonna run into a problem. If you come back next year and ask for more money, and it's all separated out, if they pick and choose at some point to cut funding on one, and you ask for too much, and then you don't get it, you're gonna end up with nothing. That's what I'm afraid of, and I don't know how we can fix that. If anybody's got any ideas, or, it's just something that I think about, and I'd like to hear something on
I
it.
support this too. I think next year, maybe we can get a better breakdown. I don't know how it got misconstrued with the numbers.
Yeah.
Would you
Well,
suggest?
Actually, let me follow
I
up with
believe,
DJ's. Yeah.
I was almost certain you guys asked for 35, that could be just my misunderstanding.
Well, or,
And that's how it got to the.
or on
way
our
it came.
side, but I think, quite frankly, the time to have the discussion, like you're suggesting, is during the warrant and budgeting process,
Yeah.
not now, because.
Right,
like
I agree, I'm just saying. in the
I didn't
future.
plan on having this discussion
In the
tonight. I
future.
didn't realize there was any problem with the money,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's new news to my ears.
Would you suggest, as a...
Well, I thought we had this conversation before, that they asked for 45, and then we thought.
did a
they-
little
and
bit,
we
but-
weren't- And I didn't, and then now it's here again, that's why.
I
know
didn't
we've had
realize it
this
was holding up
conversation
their
a little
check,
bit
though.
before.
I didn't realize we held up their check by having that conversation.
No, we only gave them half.
I know.
If your concern, Mr. Wolf, is about, the sort of slippery slope
Yeah.
going in the other direction of
Right.
constantly asking for more money, would a warrant article or something along the lines of level funding be more acceptable, where we just, that way, as an organization, we can look forward to X amount of money on a regular basis, and we know that the rest of that money is our responsibility, but level funding would allow us to, project ahead and not sort of feel that we have to have this kind of a discussion every single year.
Right.
Might that work better than what we're doing now?
That could be a good answer. Dave, you had something you wanted
No,
to say?
I was kind of along Steve's line, to try and get something, so it's just a yearly thing.
I just hate to see a year that you got denied, then what would you do? That's-
Right, exactly.
That's what I'm thinking about, like I
Exactly.
said.
Actually,
Exactly.
that happened to us last year, so that,
We really had a scramble last year.
And
I know there was a difference in
Yeah,
money.
that's because we didn't have that separate warrant article.
Right, and even from the standpoint of the budget, it becomes a level funding issue, and it's easy to just plug the number in every year, rather than, going back to the drawing board and starting all over again. So level funding might actually work better, not only for the town, but even for us, from the standpoint of knowing what is expected of us and what we have to do.
Does anybody else have any comments?
Now that Scott's back, I'll second his motion, I was just waiting for him to come
Oh,
back.
sorry.
It's okay.
We
No,
just
no,
carried
no,
on a
that's
little
fine. You had to have
conversation
everything. I
while
was
you
just
were
waiting
gone.
for you to come back.
So we just didn't sit here to, kind of get a feel for what people's thoughts were.
I'll second your
If there was
motion
any-
for any more discussion, so we can.
I just want to say, I made that point of making that statement because I've had people express, as constituents express concern about, and I'm just saying, hey, this is what I'm hearing sometimes, and I'm just relaying that information to you.
think
I'm
we
not
have to-
for
No,
not doing
Scott,
this.
understood. I think we need to listen to that type of stuff, because just what DJ said, if we ask, and don't justify, and it just runs up to the point where nobody gets any money, that doesn't help any of us. So I think we have to pay attention to that, and I think some of this discussion here will help us do that. So I think it's a fair statement, and we got to be aware of it and deal with it.
I think the other thing too is, and that's why I asked about the Pittsfield thing, that's some of the questions I get is, are the other towns helping? And maybe some of that information at town meetings or wherever it needs to be addressed, so people can hear that
Yeah,
we're not the only one footing the bill. It might
Right.
make them feel better for footing the bill, I
Right.
guess.
Yeah.
So does Pittsfield have very limited frontage on that lake, or?
They're
They're-
less than 10% of the total frontage.
It's weird how the boat launches in Pittsfield, but there's no real houses there.
There's
just a few, yeah.
There's a
There's a
few.
couple,
There's a few,
there's a lot where, people can access, or, excuse me, that people bought a 28-acre lot, but there's no house there, there's a barn there, there's one house near the boat ramp,
Right.
there's the campground near the boat ramp, and then I think,
There's a couple houses around the corner toward Club
Right.
Road.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
Steen's property is, just their lakefront is, but their house is in Northwood. Or maybe vice versa, I forget which.
So I guess we've got the amount of money taken care of, and
Yes, thank you.
is there any more comment tonight?
Was there
And
an
I think
actual
if we
vote?
all work at this and
We have to
maybe
have a
come up,
vote.
if we all come up with a better setup for springtime before the budget, maybe we can do some work on that.
And with an eye towards level funding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or however you guys,
Right.
whatever you think is good, and then we'll see how we feel about it, and
Yeah, I would appreciate that, because it's always a stomach churning thing for me, you know, well, how much money are we actually gonna get? And if we could have that whole discussion in the fall through the budgeting and warrant process, then we know if the warrant
I
passes.
think we need to have it earmarked for who's getting what. That way.
That's what I said while you were out. I said that while you were out.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, you
okay.
said that was.
He did, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
We don't want to get into that again.
No,
We had that
no,
problem
I think it was
once
just a
over money and,
little bit of miscommunication
No,
somewhere.
that makes sense.
Huh?
It makes sense.
said it makes good sense.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank you
for
very much,
coming.
appreciate you working with us.
Let them have the
Gotta
vote.
vote.
Yeah, we're gonna vote.
Okay. Oh,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The check's in the mail.
I'll sign it with all the
Don't
other
want it
purchase
tonight, I hope,
orders.
because you're out of
Actually,
luck.
Joe's, we have to send a note, right?
Send me a letter and I'll.
thank you,
attach it.
gentlemen.
Okay, the
Thank
note will
you.
be from the.
Nice
income-
talking to you guys.
He's
Oh, no, not
president
from
now.
him, it's gotta be from Hal.
No, it can't be, I'm not the president anymore.
Sure.
Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
We don't know
We're
what
gonna
they're
hold
gonna
it in the
do.
fund balance.
Okay, that was my
I
intention.
mean,
I was just
until
wondering.
I get,
I was just wondering.
yeah, I don't know what you said, but one of my thoughts is that, a lot of these,
Hey, where's the basket?
A basket tonight.
Oh, no, no bad. Gonna do me a favor? Can you get, not you, Dee, can you grab the basket?
Is it up there?
Oh, it's on top. Can you hide in front of DJ?
Do you have any quick comments before we move on? or
That piece of paper back there.
This one?
Yeah, please.
oh,
This way I won't have to recalculate if we need to. Thank you.
So we're ready to move on to other business? I guess we're gonna move on to the auditor quotes.
Yes. So it's been a few weeks now, we opened auditor quotes and assessing quotes. The auditor, we had 4 bids.
I don't have it in front of me tonight, unfortunately, but
I don't have the audio.
you know,
That's assessing.
I'd like to, I did look at them, and before I make my motion, there's an argument to switching auditors every couple years. I'm trying to remember, how long has Vashon and Kluge had this contract?
It's been a long time.
10
8
years
to
or
10
so?
years, yeah.
And who else bidded?
We got Vashon,
I had 4 or 5 of them.
Plodzik and Sanderson,
Wood?
Melison Health,
honestly, I didn't get a chance to look at them good. That's my opinion,
And-
but
Robert Green, PLLC.
Wood Plozak and Sanderson quote,
13,000.
and Wood,
Plodzik was the lowest.
Plozak was the lowest,
Yes.
and they're in Concord.
They are in Concord, yes.
Yeah, they're a pretty good firm. I'm familiar with them. Matter of fact, they used to have our contract. When I first became a selectman, they were the ones that had the contract. So, having a little background in accounting and finance, I think it's good every 8 or so years to switch it up. So, I'll make a motion to,
Yep, can I put something in there real quick before you motion?
yeah.
We had Sandy Garrett review this, and she was the finance director. And just to give you her preference before the motion is made, her preference was for Vashon Kluge.
I'll make a motion for Plozak and Sanderson.
I'll second the discussion. Rick, you got anything?
I don't have a lot of discussion. Like I said, I didn't get a good chance. I vaguely looked at
I'm
them,
gonna-
but there's a lot of information there, and I'm just gonna say I didn't put my best effort into looking at it with all the highway stuff that we got. I kinda looked at both sets. We got 8 books on highway, and we got those at the same time, and
I'm gonna agree with Rick, but I'm also gonna say that I don't have a lot of experience in the accounting and financing things, so I tend to try to take some advice from my fellow select board. And so with that, if you're saying it's something that we should change every 8 to 10 years, I would obviously.
I mean, I'm
take your-
fine.
Take your opinion more than any.
I agree.
I mean,
that
it
I don't
doesn't-
like going
good.
particularly
doesn't-
against our finance department, but
Well, it's good to get a fresh set of eyes in here every so often. Somebody to look at things with a new perspective. I'm not opposed to For the record, I'm fine with Vashon. But with that saying, they did have, one of the reasons we switched from Plosick and Sanderson back in, I don't know, that was a while ago, but one of the reasons we switched from them was because they had the audit for 10 to 15 years.
So it was basically a routine switch, like, almost like what we're doing now.
Yeah,
is what you're
so
saying.
I think I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it too. Like I said, I don't have the experience you're having. It sounds like this is something like a routine switch that you should do every so often. We're basically switching back to a company we've had before.
Yeah, someone's got a second.
I think we did second
Oh,
it for
did you
discussion.
second it? All right,
Yeah, I did.
Sure, DJ did.
whatever.
I'm pretty sure I seconded it
gonna
for
argue.
discussion, but it's okay.
So,
I'm okay.
if there's no more discussion, I will call for the vote.
I'm gonna say aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Guess the motion passes 3-0.
When does that change take place, just real quick? Is that the first of the year type thing, or is that
That
is that a different
They
calendar year?
Kluge has it for this year, right?
The new group will be auditing our 2017 books.
So this year's audit's gonna be them.
Yeah, what we're doing now will be audited by them next year.
Is that gonna, one more question, is that gonna affect the actuarial service at all?
The actuarial is working on their portion of it now. They'll have everything done they need for these folks come next year's audit.
Okay.
That was a point that we made with the actuarial.
All right. On to assessing.
So that takes care of that one. Ready to move on to the assessing quotes.
Yes, sir.
So, I'm recalling, so we only got 2 assessing quotes?
Yes.
Just one question I have, and I'll admit that sometimes I've been, sometimes I let the administrator take the lead, but I have a couple questions, because lately on the bidding, I just, normally, for example, at the state, it's these bids over a certain dollar amount are put into a, for example, trade magazine. Maybe put something in the municipal association. A lot of times in the state, it has to show up in a statewide newspaper on the larger quotes. So I'm just asking, what did we do for the quote like, where did we advertise this quote? And I do know we left it to your discretion. I just want to know it was properly advertised.
It was, in fact, just like we do all of our quotes, we always advertise everywhere that gets the most hits. For this one, NHMA is our number one.
So it was in Town and Country?
If NHMA puts it in Town and Country, then
No,
yes.
I'm asking, was it in Town and Country?
I did not call Town and Country and put it in that magazine.
So where was it, just on the
It
website?
was on their website. Just like we do, this is not a change from anything else we do. The other bids we put out were also for engineering, secretary, lead coordinator, pavilion construction, audit services, tree removal, and the Gatsby
So right
actuarial.
now, our policy, well, we don't have a formal policy on that.
There's-
We do have a formal policy, but right now, you've only been doing it putting it on the municipal association website and our website.
Yep, and there is no guidance on how many or how often you post these in our town policy.
I think to Scott's point, if it's something like this, that's like a specified field, putting it in certain places that we don't put, like, say, the rec director or the rec helper or whatever the job title is for that. I could see putting them in 2 different places. I mean, something like this probably could have went out to more places.
And my next question is, I am aware that there's an assessing association, which I think is affiliated with the municipal association.
It is.
Was it put out in that assessing?
It wasn't, in fact, because
was?
it was not. We didn't do that because they don't take RFPs. They will take employment ads, which if you go to their website, you can see the employment ads. There is no RFPs on their website.
So they will not,
They had no RFPs on their website.
did you call them?
There was no phone number, but I emailed them.
And they said, we don't allow people to put ads in here for,
There was no place for RFP in that association. There was employment.
okay, let me ask the question a little more specifically.
Okay.
In your email, did you ask them that could you possibly advertise them on their, was there a way or a recommendation they would suggest to get the most hits?
I did not ask that question, no.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
I would like to say something from now on when we put anything out to bid. I spoke about this before. The RFPs need to go away. It needs to be sealed bids.
I agree.
This was a sealed bid.
Oh, no,
But we didn't open them.
no,
Yes, you did.
No, we,
Yes, you did.
originally we opened them.
Yes.
You opened them?
Yeah, originally we did.
All right,
But
that's my error, but
My question is to, how come our current assessor didn't bid?
The current assessor did bid.
they did.
They did?
Oh, Fred Smith bid. The previous assessor was, Fred, what was the name of your organization? Just what was the name of your organization? Purvis and Sons.
Yeah.
And it was something that I had made arrangements, I had informed Allison Purvis, the owner of the company, that technically I'm going to be retiring from her occupation at the end of 2018, and told her that, and had made arrangements with her, that I would be bidding on Northwood on my own, and in payment of that, he wasn't interested in bidding on it.
Okay.
I worked out compensation, I didn't want to skip around the town, so I worked out that if I do get the contract, I would, continue to work for her next year, essentially, free it up. But it purposely didn't bid because of the, she was aware that I was going to bid.
Oh, okay.
And I got confirmation email from her saying the same thing. She said Fred spoke with her last year about it, and Fred had informed her of this, and she purposely did not bid. There was no kind of backhanded dealing with this one. I followed up with them.
I find that hard to believe because I spoke to her myself today and she said she was unaware that it was taking place right now.
She felt
And she was very amazed that it was taking place without her knowing. And I spoke to her personally.
I did too, and I have an
You
email.
spoke to her today?
I spoke to her today, and I have an email from her, and she apologized. She says, and I quote her email, "It was my mistake."
She was unaware. I have a number of towns that I have contracts through Purvis that the other towns all end up in 2018. She had just, she agrees that we'd made arrangements that I would be bidding on Northwood when Northwood's contract came up, and for myself, and she was agreeable to it. She simply forgot. She grouped it all together with all the other towns.
Personally, I think this ought to be rebid.
It's up to the board. If you guys want to rebid it, we'll put it back out. I'm on the Municipal Managers Association website. They get an email stream going back and forth. What we got is the average amount of proposals for this. Let me see. Swansea got 2 proposals this year. Dover, Somersworth, and Rochester put out a joint RFP. They only got 1 response. And Lee got 3 responses. So we're pretty much right there with the, and Barrington got the same thing. They've also had trouble getting this contract filled.
I'd like,
You know, I want to say one thing. I had spoke about this before, and I asked you what was going on with it. And evidently, you knew the story right along, and you didn't come clean with me that Fred was bidding on it personally.
This is the first I didn't realize. This is nothing to
This
do with
just
me.
gives me a bad feeling, Joe. It gives me a horrible feeling, and I don't like it. I don't like it.
Rick, this has nothing to do with me.
Well, I'm
This
just
is-
saying, I
this
don't
is-
like what went on. It's horrible.
Well, I made it very plain, the proposal is in my name, it's not in the company's name.
I understand that, but
You know,
it's shoddy, in my opinion.
I'm-
And if you take offense to it, that's all right.
I certainly
I'm
do,
entitled to
because
my,
there are
I'm
people-
entitled to my opinion, and you are.
And I am entitled to the truth.
Whatever. I don't care whether it's true or untrue.
Obviously not.
That's right, I don't.
But I'll tell you, to rebid it after two companies, that the average that do respond to these things have already told you what their prices would be, is unfair to those two companies.
Well, it's our choice.
Certainly is.
Thank you.
So when does our current assessing contract end?
It ends at the end of this year.
So we got plenty of time.
Well,
There's time. If the board would like, I can put this back out, put it in Town and Country. If you have other suggestions, I'll put it there too.
I just, I don't, I mean, I don't like, I'm not saying there was anything done wrong, but if there's a concern from other members of the board that they'd like to rebid it, I'll defer to the,
My other question is, there's two proposals here. Was the other party invited here to speak on their behalf? My understanding, they weren't.
The other company.
The other
did.
company that bid.
How come they didn't have a chance to come tonight and speak? Why weren't they invited? If we're
Just
gonna
like,
do interviews, we should interview everybody involved.
I don't know
we're
if-
not interviewing
I
tonight.
don't know if this was an interview, it's just a question.
I'm here because I read the agenda.
All right,
I did not get an invitation.
okay.
Just like all RFPs and RFQs, if the folks that bid want to come and sit in the audience, some do and some don't, nobody was invited.
Well, if we don't let them know that, it's obvious that they're not gonna show up. Everybody knew tonight that we were opening this and we were gonna make a decision tonight. You can fairly say that.
It's on the agenda.
Yeah, but
They don't get our agenda, Joe,
I-
unless you send it to them.
I don't babysit these people. These are grown men and women who have submitted bids to the town. It's up to them to take that step. It's not up to me to
you're
handhold
saying
them.
that you had no contact whatsoever telling him that he was gonna be on the agenda tonight,
Who?
the assessor?
He's not on the agenda.
That this was gonna be on the agenda, to be here and talk.
He
You
read,
didn't say nothing to him whatsoever.
he read the agenda.
I find that very hard to believe, but okay.
Guys, you can think- you can-
I don't really believe anything but, that you say, so I'll take whatever.
You
take
can
what
think
wanna
it's
say.
something.
Let's not go there
Take what
tonight.
you wanna say.
This
Fine.
isn't the night to go there.
No, that's fine.
Good.
Anyways, so are you making a motion to reconsider, Scott? Put it back out to
well,
bid?
you got two bids here. I will tell you, my experience in business, honestly, is I don't think it's probably gonna behoove us to go back out to bid, okay? With that being said, for example, what I'm saying is, if you go back out to bid, you might only get one, you might get two, you might get three,
Might get none.
might get none. And you don't want to start being thought of as, you don't want to get a reputation where people don't want to submit bids because they might think it's difficult to do business, yeah? I'm not saying it is difficult to do business
Undecisive,
here.
is that the word you're looking for?
I don't know if I want to say we're undecisive, but people typically want to do business in an environment that's comfortable and kind of like they don't feel like, and I'm not saying that it's a good work environment, and you know, it's up to you guys, but I don't. I understand there could be a little confusion here with the way the process was. I personally, in the future, I'd like to see us expand when we do put out a bid, expand how we do it, so that it at least has the appearance of transparency, and that we have at least the opportunity for more people to bid. That being said, I can honestly say that I don't think this was it perfectly, would I like that it gone out to more people? Yeah, but I don't think there was any ill will here.
I'd just like to say I have my doubts on it, and I'm gonna disagree. It either needs to go out to bid, or I'll make a motion to entertain one of the companies.
What do you think, Scott? Are you making a motion?
I will, if that's what they wanna do. If you wanna force the issue, I'm gonna do
Well,
it.
we have to make an issue. We have to make a motion one way or the other, whichever way we're
We either
going.
make a motion not to do it tonight, or we make a motion to do it and pull the trigger. Any more comment?
Yeah, in your motion, we reject all, you'd have to reject all the bids and then say go back out to bid.
Seems like these guys don't wanna go there.
I didn't say we
Scott
didn't
doesn't.
seem like.
Well, no, if,
I just think
I
we're in
wanna
a bad
work, I wanna
situation.
work together as a board in a harmonious manner. I know we might agree to disagree, but I'm not, if you guys wanna go in a certain direction, I understand and, you know, it's
Well,
fine.
let me ask a question. Now, earlier you said something as far as the assessing, changing companies every so many years. Is assessing fall in that same line? Like,
Sure.
you're saying, should we get another set of eyes? I'm not saying that he's doing a bad job by no means, or that he's not qualified. I'm saying, does it fall in that same perspective that you're saying? Because you even said yourself earlier that there was nothing wrong with Vachon Couquet. You just felt that it was better to change a company and get a different set of eyes. That's my question.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, in assessing, well, actually, I'm a tax administrator, I deal with other types of taxes, I don't deal with property assessment.
I didn't say did, it's just
No,
a
no,
question.
but I happen to be a CPA, and I used to actually do a lot of financial auditing with government agencies, so I kinda have a background in that. And that being said, like anything else, I think every once in a while, it's good to get a new set of eyes on things. Somebody come in with a fresh perspective.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm reading that that's the way, I don't know if Frick is so much worried about different bids as maybe going a different direction. Am I reading you wrong, Rick?
I'm open to either way.
Okay, so,
But if they want to push the issue tonight,
I mean, if we gotta make a decision tonight, I'm pretty confident that if we vote on, if we make one of these two, one of them, you're gonna vote one way for one and then one way for the other. So I guess.
I actually
Do you wanna change?
I was going through these, I do know, obviously I know our current assessor, I also know the other assessor too.
Correct.
And, I actually know the other assessor because he used to work at the Department of Revenue. And a little history is when I used to work in auditing, I actually was doing the audit at the Department of Revenue while that particular assessor was employed there.
Okay, and what was your?
Seemed, you know, I mean, from what I remember, he seemed to know what he was doing, and
So would you entertain a motion to change assessors if I was to make that motion?
I would second it for discussion.
Okay. Well, then I'll make a motion to accept, what is it? Jeffrey Earls, our CCAG,
cross-country appraisal group.
assessing services.
I'll second that for discussion.
Okay. So what do you have for discussion? I'm just trying to,
I've
I'm
had
trying
enough
to work
discussion.
equally. If you want to still send it back out for rebid, we can. If you want to shoot that one down and motion this one, we can, and go back and forth. But if we, at some point, we have to decide which direction we're going to go. So I'll just start with that motion and we'll see where it goes.
So I guess the questions I have is these.
So do we have a motion and it's seconded?
Yeah, I second it.
Discussion.
So this assessor, is all set with DRA, is approved, and
Yep. DRA would like to see, before a contract is signed, DRA would like to see the, what you choose. DRA wants to see it to review it, just to make sure it's okay, and then,
so
But yeah, they're-
DRA would want to, so before we can actually enter the agreement, DRA wants to review it.
yeah, you can agree to go with this gentleman, but DRA has requested that they see the contract before it's actually signed and enacted. But yes, he is approved with DRA.
and looking at his thing, he looks like he has all the qualifications. I'm all set.
More comments?
I'm trying to come to some sort of direction, whether, I don't want to force anybody into a decision to try to, just to hire somebody and move on, I just
Well,
figured.
they're both qualified.
Yes.
Uh,
I'm not, by no means am I saying either one isn't.
for the record, I am fine with the job that, Fred's doing.
Yeah, I didn't say I wasn't, I was just, my question was,
Oh.
you said earlier about switching eyeballs, and that was
I mean,
just
it's not-
my-
I look at auditing a little different than assessing, because they're coming in looking at our financials and they're giving us an opinion on our financials. The same argument could be made for both, but I'm kind of like, and I don't mean I don't care, I just sound great, but
I get what you're saying.
yeah, so they're both qualified. If the two of you have a preference, one or the other, I'm fine.
I don't, like,
If you want to
I'm right along the same lines as you.
if you want to stick with Fred, I'm fine with
I'm
that.
not, wait, I'm right there with you. I'm not saying neither one of them aren't qualified. That's not what I'm getting at. I just think that the concern is maybe we need a new set of eyes. So that's where I'm leaning, whether it goes that way or not. And it has nothing to do with qualifications or what type of job anybody's done or the procedure that this has come about. It's just, we have had this discussion for a while now about possibly changing the assessors. This isn't something that has just come up tonight. We had discussed it before.
No, I'm fine.
All right, so
Any more discussion?
I got nothing.
We have a motion on the floor, right?
Yep.
Seeing no discussion, I'll call for the vote.
I'm gonna vote aye.
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 3-0. Really put us in a pickle when they're sitting right in front of
Well, you know what? They put us in the spot. If we'd have rebid it, maybe something different would have happened, but we were put in the spot we were put in. That's the way it goes sometimes.
All right, let's move on. Bigger and better things.
That's right.
On to assessing.
No, we'll do something else before that.
I thought that when I put
Do you
this
want to
together.
you want to do this permit application, just to take a break from assessing?
Yeah,
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
yeah.
All right,
Why
yeah.
don't
This,
Do we
this
have
is-
anybody here that's here for like non-public or anything? I see some different faces, just to try to, if we have something that we can bang out, and
Nick is here for non-public.
is it something that might take a while, or is,
How about our,
That's Dee, she's the new municipal secretary.
okay, so
She
I
just
knew
wanted
who
to
she
see
was,
that.
I wasn't
why
sure if
isn't
she
she
was
sitting
here.
at the table?
I knew
why
who
is
she
she
was,
sitting
I
out
just wasn't
there?
sure if she was here for a reason. I wasn't sure if she was here for a
These
reason.
chairs are a lot more comfortable.
If Nick don't mind waiting, I just saw her, I wasn't sure if she was
No,
here
no,
for a
no.
reason.
All right, here, I'm gonna,
I mean, you guys can bang through this stuff
all
pretty
right,
quick.
here.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
I mean, I saw her here, I wasn't
So
sure.
how many
if she was
assessing items do you have?
It looks like 3, but it's fast.
here. Trying to help you guys out,
Reimbursement for the
That's all.
land.
because we've been here pretty late
The
the
thing
last
we have
couple of
left.
meetings, so.
I know,
I wouldn't
man.
want to hold you that
Oh,
long.
you got an explanation?
Not till
Yeah.
10 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, not till 10 tonight.
What is this on?
Yeah, I'm fine with this. Oh, it got filled out.
Yeah, the acres.
Yeah,
We-
I'll make a motion to approve the application for reimbursement of forest land, August 1st of 2017.
A second.
Discussion, I quite don't know what it's about.
So what happens is, for example, we have 2 state properties. You got the Northwood Meadows State Park, and then you got
Right.
Woodman State Forest.
Yeah.
The Northwood Meadows has 552 acres, and then this has 52. They
this
give
is
you
what the
a
state-
value per acre, and then you get total assessed value, and then DRA determines how much we get, because we don't, it's taxes,
taxable,
yeah, it's not taxable, and they give us a set
Kickback.
amount by statute,
Right, all right.
so, all
I
right?
understand now. I vaguely remember we had a little discussion about this at a prior meeting or 2 before. I just needed a refresher course.
And then there's never a solid dollar amount, it's just
Oh, I
whoever
understand
submits
that.
and, yeah.
I remember the last time we had a little discussion, I was just a little concerned about what it was.
Oh, we got to vote. So I made a motion.
A second?
You second. Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
Okay. And then we have, this is all assessing?
It's land use change tax, and there's two of them.
This is, oh, just two of them?
Is somebody building a new house?
What?
Some people building some new houses?
Oh, yeah, there's
a
plenty
lot
of
of
building
homes.
going on.
I was just wondering if somebody's moving back to town.
So this is a land use release tax map, Old Woods, 30 Old Woods Road, map 118, lot 211. So let me read the explanation, so you know. The 4.885 acre property located at 30 Old Woods Road, map 118, lot 21, has 3.325 acres of backland that has been enrolled in the current use program. This property was eligible for current use as long as it was held by the same over abutting property. On May 16th, the property at 118 was transferred to a new owner. Thus, so they have to take it out of current use, and I believe this is just the 10% current use penalty results in $430 tax assessment. And
I'll
this
second.
is- So I'll move that.
A second.
You guys want to see the maps?
No. So what they're doing, they're just paying them to take it out of current use. 'cause
They were
it
in
had
current
been
use,
they can
they
give it to
sold the land, now that that land's owned by another owner,
It's out of current use.
it's out of current use, because you have to own all the land, it has to be
Has
contiguous.
to be so many acres,
Yeah.
I know
So then
that.
that person's gonna come back and try to put it in the current use, correct?
Well, you're gonna have,
That's up to them.
they have to have X amount of acres.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Passes 3-0. Do we have another one there too? Yeah,
I saw that.
I know the land was sold. I had it in my packet. Amen.
Well, they still have more, don't they?
I don't know, I think that's near the end of it.
I don't think so.
No, maybe
I don't-
not.
I could be wrong.
Oh, they have like 175 acres.
Yeah, they go
Something
most of Pleasant
ridiculous.
Lake. It's ridiculous.
Most of it.
Okay, and I'll read the explanation of this. There's a 2-acre property located off of Blake's Hill Road, map 224, lot 33-1, has recently been sold. This property was eligible for current use as long as it was held by the same owner, same idea. On July 7th, the property was transferred to a new owner, thus disqualifying from current use. The land use change tax is calculated as the value of the land at the time of disqualification. Based on the current assessment, the 2.0 acre lot is estimated to have a value of $58,252. The actual sale price was $58,000. The 10% land use change tax results in the assessment of $5,800. I'll make a motion to approve this.
I'll second.
Discussion. So are they paying us some money or what is
Yeah, it's the
it?
same idea.
They're
paying the
paying the
difference.
10% current use penalty of
Same idea.
$58,000, same idea.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes 3-0, aye.
Did you get both, did you sign both spots?
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve manifest P 2017 number 16 in the amount of $517.91. Payroll check register.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I was just wondering if we got you mentioned something about possible no, representation on some police time cards, like the numbers weren't adding up. I was just wondering if we got that straightened out.
That's been a challenge. This time around, I think they were pretty clean. There were a couple, I think the fire department had one that wasn't clean, but,
You know, if this keeps up, the best thing for us to do would put in a time clock
Chronos.
system, and then it'll cut it all out.
You just do a
You punch the
Chronos.
time clock when you come in, you punch the time clock when you leave, and then there's no question on hours.
You can do a Chronos and
Or whatever, however to do it. Do it in the computer, or whatever you gotta do. But
I am,
if they can't get it together and add up their hours and do their own payroll,
we
we
have
need to look
Chronos
at a different
that
system.
alerts you when they're late or when
Can
they
I-
punch out and everything.
can I ask a question about, and I'm just using an example, and heaven forbid, we don't have the best state, our system at the state has some flaws, and I'll tell you that. Is there any way we can create a template that's like, could we require them to enter their time? For example, at the state, we put it in military time. You log in, I use myself as an example, I start work at 8:15. I take a half-hour lunch break, and then I finish whenever I work to, so I have to, like, I go in on the computer, and what you could do, like, some kind of Excel spreadsheet, but basically you go in and say, okay, I started at 8:15, and I left at 1200 hours. I took a lunch till, like, say, 1:40, till 12:45, so then at 12:45 to 5 o'clock I worked. So it's clear, it's like, boom, boom. And I'm just drawing that out as an idea, but with that being said, I would like to, and I know everybody hates when I say this, but even if you wanted to put a clock system in, the police commissioners could say, we don't want a clock system down at the police station, and you'd be basically requiring our employees to be subject to time cards. You still can't, I'm just explaining how the
No,
law
I get what you're
works.
saying. I mean, I'm not saying we have a time clock, but I mean, if we're having disputes on the hours, whether or not, I don't think it's a dispute that they're working the hours. I think they're just not getting written down properly, correct?
A lot of times, I
I
saw
don't think
some,
we're
8 and
disputing-
3 isn't 15.
I don't think we're disputing whether or not they're working them. I think it's just the way they're added up or the way they're written down. I
Right.
don't think we're disputing that they're.
No, we're not disputing that. It's them screwing it up.
When
And
they're
then
writing it.
we have to try to figure it out here. And then
Right.
sometimes they think they're on overtime and double time when they're not. And there's just a lot of chaos. And I don't know the way to fix it, but I know it's been going on a long time. I know it showed up in our current audit. And I'm just saying, somehow or another, not tonight, we need to come up with a way to fix it.
Yeah, figure out.
And I'm gonna leave it at that, and we're gonna move on.
Yeah, I
Because we're
was-
not
I
gonna
didn't-
fix it tonight.
to that point though, Rick, I mean, where we're at now with this conversation is well beyond what the fact we've already fixed this.
Oh, you've
If-
already fixed it?
If you would have looked at the packets even 4 months ago, you would have seen, I mean, you would use an ink pen to correct it, it's in much better condition than it was.
I
There-
saw 5 or 6 this last payroll that was screwed up.
There are still a
And then
few
there was someone
errors.
else that screwed theirs up, and they expect us
Well,
to go out
can
of
we
our
vote?
way and make a
We can continue
check.
this conversation, but can we vote on this so that?
Aye. Sorry to bring that up. I was
No,
just-
but we can still have this discussion. I just wanted to make sure we got.
Yeah, I wasn't denying payroll. I
No,
just. I
but
knew
when
it was
someone
a
screws
question.
their pay up, we shouldn't be cutting them a check, because they can't add up their hours. That is their problem. They need to wait till the next period. We shouldn't be put out because they can't keep track of their own time. I've worked all my life, and that's one thing I make sure of. I get my paycheck at the end of the week.
Yep.
And I don't know if there's anybody that doesn't care, but I just think what's going on is unexcusable.
Yep,
Their
but
time should be their priority to get paid.
I agree,
If it
and,
isn't, I don't have any sympathy for them.
but we have taken extraordinary steps to fix this. If you ask Sandy, she will tell you that I spend a lot of time looking at these, making sure they're correct.
But as you know, I look at the payroll very carefully every week, and I see all the little notes. I don't miss any of them. I spend an hour or better every week looking at the payroll.
Yep.
So I do notice what's going on.
To your point, I don't do payroll, but I hear the lady at my work that does payroll, and she has a lot of these same issues. I mean, even with the chronos, the time clock like you're talking about, if you punch in, say you get a half an hour, you punch in a minute late, it automatically flags your supervisor, and they actually have to go in and fix it to okay that you're there or whatever, that you okay. So it's not, there's other, so it's not just us that are having these sort of issues as far as payroll. Just the point. I'm not saying that it's not an option, it's not just us.
No, enough said. I didn't mean to get into a big discussion about it.
No, I
tonight. It wasn't
agree.
on
We
the
gotta come up
agenda,
with
but
some sort of.
It's something we need to keep in the
If it
mind
keeps
for
happening,
future.
if you're saying it's solved now, we'll see what happens, but if it keeps happening, we'll have to revisit it, that's all.
We're,
We can do.
we're getting there. It's, like you say, it's an ongoing.
I
Anyway,
know it's hard to determine sometimes if they're on overtime or double time, or if it's holiday and sick leave, and I understand it's confusing, but do we have any other, did the manifest, purchase orders, no more?
no purchase orders today.
Moving on to miscellaneous signatures.
This is a credit application for a company in Maine that sells sander equipment. The one in Concord, I guess, folded. They went out of business.
Yeah, I know they're not selling sanders and plows anymore.
So now we need to find a place to get more parts.
So, just quick question. So what we're doing is basically just applying for credit. We're not actually buying something from them?
No, you're not buying anything. You're just saying we would like
Saying we
to,
would like to buy something in the future. Here's our credit check, basically.
yeah, it's,
Why do we have to go into Maine? There's plenty of dealers in New Hampshire.
I have a question. So we're applying for credit. So this is to buy plowing equipment.
Parts and
parts,
stuff in the
yeah.
future, because the place
So,
that we're getting parts now is going out, correct? Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
it's the sander. They can't get
There's Fisher
chains.
Dealers in Lee, there's a guy in Rye, there is a guy in other places right here in town. Why are we going into Maine to buy parts?
The road agent said he could not get the parts he needed for his sander anywhere else. This was the closest one that he could get his parts from.
do you want to talk to the road agent before you do this?
I mean, I
I don't have any problem really, but
I don't
I'm
really
just
have it.
shocked that we can't get something local.
Well,
Because there's Fisher Dealers all over
I
and
will make, well, I guess my question is,
don't we have
what-
Fisher
what this-
equipment?
So, just
I
so I
don't know
know,
what the-
because like,
I
we're
don't know what the
signing for,
equipment
we're
is.
signing for a credit card. Who holds the credit card?
don't we hold the
I
authority
don't
to
understand.
Or
spend?
is it just like, is this like, is he get a credit card for this company?
Oh,
or-
no, this is not a credit card.
Just so we have an account that we
Okay,
can
we have an
use.
account.
Yeah, yeah, they're just saying that
So-
they can order
So
something
they
and not have
gotta
to
order
pay for it
something,
right
and we
away.
have to have it delivered.
And pay for it or send
And then
it.
Yeah,
they'll
just
come
like,
and
it's
check.
gonna, everything's gonna stay the same that it was used to. We're just changing
So I'm
companies.
fine, I'll make a motion to allow Chairman Rick Wolf to sign on behalf of the town as chairman to do this credit check for opening up.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
Oh, you've got this,
I don't have to sign this door.
so what's the next thing you got?
The pavilion construction, Rick and I talked with the builder the other day, and I don't, Rick, how did you feel about that?
He's gonna anchor it to the lolly columns. Basically, the lolly columns are gonna go down into the ground 4 or 5 feet.
Are you comfortable with it?
It's a way to do it.
And we
Is
put-
it the best
are we all
way?
set with the location and everything?
That's, the Board of Selectmen chose the upper fields on the right there.
You know, I think there's a better way to do it, but for the money, and I'm not gonna cause us think about it. I think the other tight bases that have a 2x2 base on the bottom, Instead of just a sonotube, the difference is, when you bury them in the ground, you got something there to hold them. With a sonotube, it's round, and that's the only thing you got to hold it. And that's all I got to say. I'm not gonna hold the project up.
Just a quick question though, Rick. When you asked them, was it a price reason why they were going this way, or was it because that's just the way they build them?
That's the way they chose to build it. I didn't ask if it was because of price or
I
not.
didn't know if it would cost more to do it the way that you.
It would. It'd probably cost $1,000 more to do it with the precast setup, but I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not gonna hold the project up. If you guys are comfortable, I'm comfortable, and I'm ready to move on.
Okay. So,
Get it
so you
built.
just have to, he just has to sign this, right?
Yeah, I need a vote from you guys, and then Rick needs to
I'll
sign.
make a motion to allow Chairman Rick Wolf to execute the contract to put up the pavilion.
I'll second. First discussion. Do you have a date of completion? Are they doing that this year?
It needs to be done this year.
Because the grant, you lose the grant.
Yeah, we lose the grant
Alright,
money. That's,
So, all right, that was my question.
we need to coordinate with them. The gentleman's gonna grade the land, and then Charlie Pease, because we're gonna need the backhoe to do a little bit of trenching.
Okay.
But yeah, after
I
coordination,
just know there's not much I mean, even though it is only August, but time flies.
time flies,
I
man.
mean, it's.
We need to do some site work to get it in there.
So maybe we need to get on that ASAP.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That was my only concern. That's it.
So just gotta vote.
Yeah. Aye.
Seeing no more discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in
Aye.
favor? Aye. Passes 3-0.
While we're on the discussion of the ball fields, I got the rec department's picture. I gotta be honest with you, I couldn't decipher anything in the picture I got.
Sorry.
No, it's not your fault, it's just black and white doesn't
You-
print very well.
No, it's,
So, I mean, I really didn't see, I couldn't even tell what they were trying to describe there, to be honest with you.
yeah, she made, we can give you a color copy.
No, it's fine, I couldn't, you look at that, you can't tell anything that's going on
So
there.
what do they want to relocate it here?
No. This has nothing to do with the pavilion.
Oh,
This is the playground.
This is the playground.
Playground,
Equipment.
they're gonna put the playground, and I'm assuming that you were going there next, because we're on the same discussion.
I was, it's, yeah, right here.
Sorry.
all right.
No, it's,
But we were gonna have to talk about it at some point.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, we were heading that direction.
Correct me if I'm wrong, that arrow is where arrow where it's pointing is where we're heading towards the pavilion, correct?
Up to backfields.
So that picture doesn't show where we're putting the pavilion.
No, this is just where the
No, that was my
playground.
question. I mean.
That's
my
a
only-
separate issue. That's for playground equipment.
Yeah, I know that, but well, wait for where I was going. My question is, would it be more fraudulent for us to put the, playground, that was probably the wrong word.
Okay,
but whatever.
I'll have no part of that.
That was the wrong word, but whatever. Anyways, what I was saying is, wouldn't it be more
Beneficial?
beneficial for us to put the playground where it's in sight line of probably the pavilion? Only because the parents can be there instead of at the playground. That's just my opinion.
The
just a
problem is,
thought.
we've already started a playground in this area, and there's already pieces there.
Okay.
So I think that's why they
I'm
wanna-
not saying that this spot is
They
wrong.
want to move the box and just keep going at that
Right, I mean,
side.
I'm not saying that
Can I
this
ask
spot is
a?
wrong. It's just a
and
point.
I
an
hate, we already
observation.
voted on it, but should the pavilion be near the playground?
I would think that,
I didn't have any choice in this matter.
we didn't decide where the playground went.
No. This playground has
So-
already got some pieces of equipment on it.
Well, at least not since I've
Well,
been here. I mean, it's
Well,
just
no,
a
it
point
was
I'm
done
bringing up.
before you got
It was
here.
just a point I'm bringing up. It doesn't mean that we have to have the playground next to the pavilion. I'm sorry to even bring that point up,
No,
but
that's
I just
fine.
thought it made sense that it
I
would be
understand
close.
you. I understand where you're coming from, but I
Maybe
had
the
no part
fraudulent
in
word was
that.
the wrong word, but I think you knew where I was headed.
All right.
So basically, they
it's-
want to move the box. They took the playground equipment from over here. The prisoners took it down. It's all up there.
If they
And
want to
now
put
they
it
want
there,
to resurrect it.
if they want to put it there, I'm not going to say no. I'm just thinking that maybe they should consider a different strategy with the
Why don't we,
pavilions going out that way.
why, okay.
Well, we can vote to do this, and if they want to change it, they can come back at another time, or if they want to reconsider it.
I'm fine.
Go ahead.
Do you know how me to do it?
What?
I think has been concern about where the pavilion is actually going. I've received some feedback saying, why are you putting it up there? There's nothing
Well, they
there.
came to the meeting.
Well, yeah, I got a from Mr. Tissignan. He actually called me today and was asking the same thing. So I'm putting that out there to you guys.
I heard
Do
from
we
Dave on
wanna,
the horseshoe night.
do we
Oh,
want
did you?
do we want to put it where they want it?
I am not going back there myself. but
I
you
think I
guys
like
wanna-
where it's going, only because we've had the issue with the landowner next door. I'm not saying that we can't build there because of that, but, I mean, we have to,
We gotta move on.
yeah.
That's
We've
legit.
decided where it is. I think it's a good spot.
I guess we can't make everybody happy.
No, I mean, I think the spot we picked,
Well, half the
Great.
town, half the town will hate you, half the town will love you, and the very next week that'll actually flip over to the other side.
I
so.
think once everything's built up there, they're gonna love where that pavilion is.
I'm
That's
ple-
my
I'm
opinion.
pleading the fifth.
To the future, that's looking to the future right
Let's
there.
look to the future.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
All right.
So, you
But I'm
guys
fine
need
with where they're putting
approval.
this. I'm
Yeah.
fine where they're gonna put that. If
Yeah,
that's what they think.
If they want to make a little change in their playground, they can come back and see us as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned, but
We're not
I'm
changing where
going
the
there.
pavilion's going because
Okay,
of their
but-
playground, basically.
Yeah, but I would need an okay for you guys to say this is cool to put this
Yeah.
stuff.
It's all right with me if that's what they want.
Yeah.
What else you got?
I need a vote on this though, please.
All right?
Do
I'll
One
make a
more
motion
comment?
to allow the, do I gotta just
Rec
go
committee.
rec committee to place the playground in the spot that they have suggested at the Route 4 ball fields?
Second for discussion. I only have one thing to say. I know that I saw something in writing about the prisoners doing some of it to reset it up. The only thing I ask is that we need to make sure that this equipment is done in the right manner so it doesn't end up tipping over and hurting a child. That's the only concern I have, that we have to have a good concrete base to hold this stuff upright so nobody gets hurt. And maybe the fire department plays a role in that, or Dale or somebody, but I just want to throw that out there and I have no more to say.
I agree.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I
Passes
abstain?
3-0. Yeah, you want something to say? Go ahead.
Can I abstain?
Yeah, you can if you want.
Well, I just don't want, I think, I don't want to
I'll go down as a yes vote. I'm kidding around.
Yeah.
I saw all the concrete
What
over
else?
there that was holding
Let's
that
move
slide
along.
up.
Let's move along.
So the letter that Mr. Hadley wrote to you, this is a letter for you to sign to send to Miss Yvonne Dean Bailey if you so choose. Requesting that committee.
You gotta read it for the record.
So, to the Honorable State Representative, Ms. Siobhan Dean Bailey, Ms. Dean Bailey, the Northwood Board of Selectmen is writing to you in support of a formation of a property tax commission. The intent of this commission would be to review property tax in New Hampshire. As you know, the local property tax in New Hampshire is the most burdensome tax, especially for our seniors, most of whom are on fixed incomes. Behind only New Jersey and Illinois, New Hampshire has the third highest property taxes in the country. The call for property tax relief and reform is long overdue. We, the Northwood Board of Selectmen, do on this day request Ms. Dean Bailey to file legislation as to establish property tax commission, with the goals of the commission being find solutions to reducing property tax burden, especially in the poor communities and for our elderly citizens.
I'll second that motion. I don't know if you made a motion, but I'll second to entertain it.
Scott didn't second, he hadn't made a motion yet.
I
don't know if it's gonna carry a lot of weight,
I'd
but-
like to stay out of this.
Really?
I mean, if a constituent of hers wants to request for her to introduce a bill, I realize that New Hampshire has property tax issues. I think that's between her and
You think it's
people.
fine line?
Well, I mean, we can, but I don't know what,
I
Not
can
sure
kinda
what it's gonna
understand
do.
where you're coming from, but
you know, I'm gonna just kind of remain neutral. Plus, somebody spelled my name wrong.
Oh, that's it? They failed.
That was me. I spelled it wrong.
Failed.
Yeah,
so you didn't get a second, so
I'm
I
not,
guess
I'm not
it-
making a
we need
motion.
it
If you
first.
guys want to make a motion,
No, I think,
I
to
kinda
your
agree
point, I
with you.
agree. I'm not sure what,
I mean, if Jim wants to, I realize that there's issues with, I mean,
I think it's a good
if you
idea,
reduce,
but I don't know
if
if I
you
wanna go
reduce,
there.
if you, it costs X number of dollars to run things, right? So if you reduce the property tax, the money's gonna have to come from somewhere else.
State tax, somewhere.
Well, the money, the money never magically appears, it has to be derived from
Does
something.
not grow on trees.
Yeah, so my point is, if you reduce one tax, the money's gonna have to come from somewhere else, or you cut spending.
You gotta offset something.
I'm not saying, I'm not saying I'm pro or against, I just don't wanna go
Rather
down
stay
this
out.
slippery slope today.
Okay, I agree. We can approach it another day.
On the sender, I guess.
mean,
Okay,
I'm
what
fine.
else do we have?
Oh, we're still going with miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous still, all right. Let's keep going. How about the chief, is he coming up?
For this, yeah, we get the, contract for the truck, but there still need to be some things for you guys to make a decision on
Okay, come on up. Nick.
before you sign it.
Nick, come aboard. That bench
come
must be
aboard.
getting hard after a couple hours.
Stinks getting old, don't it? And you're still young.
Nick didn't even turn 30 yet,
I know.
The dirty
Life's
30.
turning 40.
and you said that on tape too.
I know, that's why I did it. She is.
Yeah.
I'm not going on that one. No comment from me. All right, so where do we stand with the fire truck?
There were some questions about the add-ons
Yep.
that we needed to talk about. I don't think the board, I want clarification that the board
We
chose or
didn't
didn't
really
choose.
discuss the add-ons the night we looked at it.
My question with the add-ons is I'm not for or against, but shouldn't we make sure that there's not going to be any additional things we may stumble across before we start adding on? I'm not saying we can't max out the money that the town gave us, but let's say he quoted us for that price and, something happens where he needs more money, but we've appropriated it for an add-on, then we don't have that money to do it.
Well, isn't it are these contracts,
I think if you read it, there's something in there
isn't it
that
a
says-
fixed contract, like the state, when we sign contracts, it's called a firm fixed price contract?
Yeah, his number would be firm. There would be, once
So I
he
guess
signs
what
it,
I've
it would
been,
be his.
what I've been trying to figure
I
out,
feel you.
my concern is, and I know we got approach with the Jaws of Life. For the record, I am not opposed to Jaws of Life, obviously. My question is, and I could be wrong, sometimes I make mistakes. So, I had actually, Nick and I talked last weekend, and I told Nick that if he could provide me documentation that the Jaws of Life were in the original truck layout, I would be okay with getting them. I just wanted to see that that was included in the original proposal. And I said, if you can show me that, I'd be fine with the Jaws of Life.
I understand that, and I understood it the last time you said it.
I agree.
My only question, my only concern was that we weren't taking money by adding extras away from that point, so we wouldn't have enough to buy the Jaws. That was the only question I had, and I think I mentioned it to Joe. I don't know if you recall that, but that was my only question. I didn't want to put lights on the truck and not be able to do
right.
the Jaws after. That was my only question.
Which you
on
wouldn't,
that. So we're all set in that aspect?
you
is what
wouldn't,
you're
you wouldn't
saying?
be able to put the extras, correct? If you did the Jaws of Life, there wouldn't be enough money left for the 3 or 4 extras.
I would think it'd be better to do the Jaws and the extras,
Yeah.
but I want to hear your.
Those were
opinion
just
on that.
extras that we
what are the
had
extras?
in, with all the, when we did the, put the truck out to bid, there were a few things that we said, we don't need this in the bid, but if you want to put it in the extra, because in the past, this is what we've gone, the road that we've gone down. The hose bed cover is probably the biggest extra that we could use, just because it protects the hose, from the sun, the weather. Lights we have, so that's why I didn't push for that. I never even pushed for that, any of that stuff anyways.
No, but my point is, I'd rather see a citizen's life
Oh, yeah,
saved,
definitely.
or, a child's life saved,
Yeah.
you know, I'd rather have the right set of jaws than
Yep.
something
So
we could get by
My
without.
question is if we were to go with the JAWS, are you saying that we can't get any of the extras, or are there still some that we can get that you would prefer?
I would prefer over any of the extras, the Jaws of Life.
Okay. But if we
Get the Jaws of Life,
you
you
can't
can,
get any
you
of
can,
those? Is that what you're saying?
quite frankly, Joe and I have been working together to try to even have enough money just for the Jaws of Life, because this company is more. And I guess now, is there a $2,000 bond, or?
Really.
Well, we want a surety bond.
We have to pay for the
We
bond.
want it, we want a surety bond in case something happens, we're not left out in the cold.
Yeah, we have to pay for the bond. That's our duty.
He wants us to pay for the bond?
Really?
I just.
I don't remember talking
Yeah,
about
see,
us paying
That
for
takes,
it.
that comes out of.
That was part of the,
Well,
I think
he's
it says it in
saying,
the contract.
he gave us a quote.
No, I didn't know anything about it.
He gave us
So-
he gave us a
Because
quote.
Joe
I
told
know
me
he
the other
gave us
day.
a
Quote didn't include, and he goes, well, if you're gonna make me post a bond, that's gonna increase my cost by X amount of dollars.
right. So we're gonna pay one way or another.
Yeah, so I'm okay.
I'm okay with
The
paying the money
bond
to
is
protect ourselves,
protection.
honestly.
I'm not questioning that. I just didn't recall that
Because the money's
originally
there
this was
as
in.
far as in the, what was voted on. So how far are we away from being able to afford the Jaws of Life? What's the difference?
Your difference is $1,317.
Well, I would think we could come up with that somewhere. I
Is
think
it-
it's
is
very
it
important.
Somewhere where we can get that out of your budget, possibly?
What I had proposed was, here's a updated copy, because the copy I had before was dated. But it's still the same quote. Oops, sorry. I should have given this to Joe, but just got him today. So as we had talked about, some of the equipment is demo equipment, but comes with the same warranty. And some of it is actually new. The cutters are new. If we were to take out the new hydraulic hoses, I actually showed Joe the hoses this morning that we have now. And by that, like DJ said, out of the budget, we would have almost just enough with what's left. At first, we thought we had enough, Joe and I, but then I didn't realize that there
Were
was
the jaws included in the first proposal?
the jaws. I don't have anything cut and dry for you, Scott. What I have is a handout that was presented at the
Budget?
2015 deliberative session that I received today. That shows a picture of a set of Jaws of Life. It was talked about. Tools and equipment, I think they wrote it so vague that that's where they kept it on every one, just because it included other rescue equipment besides this.
And
I don't actually have a breakdown of, Joe looked, I looked, there's no breakdown of what was allocated for the truck. I've talked to budget committee members.
can we go to, we got a legal opinion on this, right?
I got two opinions on this, yes.
Council?
Council.
With council, I would like, with our council, not,
Yes, we
Okay.
have one with them.
I would like to, if we're gonna discuss legal opinions,
Going to non-public.
yeah, so do we have any more public business
Public business? Oh, let me look.
related to,
Yeah, but that's,
You know what, it's
Can't come
nothing
back
that
to it.
can't, we got things
do
that
we
can be
have
put
to
off
do
the-
this today?
I would like to talk about that today. If this has to be
How
done,
long, how long will this take to talk about?
depends on how long my board of selectmen want to ask questions.
I don't
I
have
think,
a lot
I
of
think that
questions.
Fred got disappointed and left because we didn't get to it quick enough, but I
Fred.
apologize
Oh,
for
did he?
that.
Is that what he was here for?
I think so, and
Yeah,
I
I-
apologize for that, but
I sent him an update earlier in the week.
What, okay, all right, let's, do you have anything, we're
You've
gonna,
got stuff that's in non-public too, don't you?
I can, yeah. I mean, just a couple quick updates, so just to
you
keep
know
people
what, nobody's
informed.
here. We can go non-public now, come out and do regular business.
Okay.
Alright, So what's voted?
The only one here is Gary.
I make a motion to go into non-public under our, what is it?
RSA 91A:32 A and D.
A and D.
I see that A and D got pretty bold this week. Was there a reason for that? Because we were saying B instead of D.
Didn't
What
know
was
it.
the story with that?
Sometimes there was confusion, so I figured, let's make it big.
It kind of caught my attention.
Yeah.
I was like, uh-oh.
All right, so, we gotta do a
I made a
roll
All in
call.
favor?
No,
Roll
we have to
call.
roll
Donald Hutchins, aye.
Rick Wolf, yes.
I vote aye. I'd like to make a motion to come out of non-public.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
We gotta do a
Roll
roll call.
call, whatever.
DJ Hutchins, aye.
I also,
Aye.
I vote aye also.
It's unanimous, 3-0.
I'll make a
Come out of
motion to
non-public.
seal the non-public minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I will make a motion to accept the resignation of Matthew Woodbury with regret from the fire department.
I'll second that motion.
In his, can I make a comment? In his letter, he is asked to stay on in a part-time manner.
Is he a resident?
He is not.
You know what?
Is there a problem with that?
You know, if they wanna move on, let them move on. That's my opinion. Let them move on.
It's hard enough to get help. I don't know. I get mixed opinions, I guess.
I don't,
I don't know.
do you have a preference?
I don't know his intent. I know initially he'll be very busy, but
I mean, what's your recommendation? Let me put it to you that way.
I say we give it some time to see if he can commit to help us. If he can't, then we'll let him go. Because just like anybody, you know, if you can't commit to
Something.
helping us at some
I'm
point, then
fine.
you're no good to
Is
the
he gonna
town.
stay on as a volunteer or a call guy?
Volunteer,
Both, yeah. I mean,
both.
My
That's up
question
to you
is-
guys.
My question is we'll go back to the budget part of it. Obviously, with him resigning, we're gonna have to fill his position. Is it in the budget to keep him, fill his position, plus keep him on
Well, he
part-time?
could only.
well, no, it wouldn't be full time.
Part-time, that's what I said, plus being on whatever call time. I guess my question is there room in the budget to even do this?
That wouldn't affect the budget just
Okay.
because.
Someone's gotta work if you need to
Someone,
Oh,
call
right.
somebody.
All right, that was just a.
My biggest thing though, if you can't make a commitment, then over time, then
All right, no, that was just.
I guess that's the best way to lead it. If you can't do the
give
fulfillment
it
later
some time
on,
and.
you'll have to decide and
All right,
draw the line in the sand.
so let's go back to,
This resignation.
we gotta,
We need to vote, yeah. Is there any more discussion on the matter? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
and the only comment I got is I will leave it up to the chief's discretion if he wants to keep him on as a call volunteer. I'll leave it up to your discretion. He's already a member of the fire department. I mean, we're just accepting his,
Full-time.
full-time.
Anything else?
We gotta go back to the fire truck.
Yep.
So, I am, my understanding after reviewing some correspondence with legal, I'm willing to move forward with the fire truck as long as the money's there to get everything done that needs to get done. My main concern is getting the fire truck fully equipped. The primary is getting that fire truck on.
In service.
So, whatever you guys wanna do for a motion.
I'm not sure.
Well, what do we, right now, we've already approved going with that company
For the amount
Right.
of,
for the full amount.
Yep.
After we do that, if we were to purchase these Jaws of Life that are gonna be on the truck, is there enough money left over to do that?
He said there
We're
would be
We're gonna be short.
just 1,000 or whatever. He said he probably
It's
could
under
come up with it.
2,000. Depends on the
See,
figures of the
no,
bond.
this is the thing. On these things, you can't take additional money and spend them on the truck.
Right. It has to be money that's already appropriated.
Yeah.
You can't overspend the warrant.
Can't overspend the warrant, and
Right.
if we're gonna pay for the jaws with the warrant, we can't go over that amount.
And I agree.
So how do you wanna do this? How are we gonna do this?
How are we gonna gain that money? That it's not, what if, so you're saying it's under 2,000? So what if I don't even know if this is legal, but what if we paid for the bond out of something else? The $2,000 bond out of something else, and then that way,
Does that have to come out of the fire department money, the bond?
does that have to come out of the truck? Does that have to come out of the warrant?
Yeah, I got legal, I called the lawyer, I don't have an email, but I talked to Walter Mitchell, and he said that's part of overhead for him, and that just goes into the bill. So, yeah, it has to come out of I thought,
It has to come out of the warrant.
yeah, it has to come out of, excuse me,
I just didn't know
warrant,
if we
yeah.
could possibly.
And then when we sell the old truck, that goes back into the general fund, so we
Yes.
can't touch none of that. That was another thought I was thinking. I shouldn't
I would
think out
just hate
loud, I
not-
But
guess.
I was, the only option
I
I
would
was
hate
thinking,
Throw you out an option.
I would hate not to equip this.
Have a boot drive.
If I recall, there's a fire association. They could make a donation of $2,000 to pay for the difference.
I would gladly, I'm sure they would gladly do that. If that
We
is
hold a boot
acceptable.
drive one Saturday, anything to get it done.
The town can't expend money, but
If they donate the
charitable
money.
contribution from an outside organization, such as the fire association that they have fundraisers for, wanted to pay that difference.
How do these boot drives work? I just went through one in
they
Dover.
have money.
I know, but
No,
I'm
like
just
we
saying-
volunteered,
Right.
different things, well, people just, they pass off.
Could you ask them if that's?
that money could be spent for
Could,
something.
so could we just get, if the fire department wanted to pay the additional cost out of the association? Because
Association.
associations typically donate money to purchase equipment.
That's the intent of our association is for
So I
equipment.
mean, yeah, so you're just paying the difference, so that way you
We have
can.
about 12,000,
You
if I remember
want
right.
the difference, and it says, would that cause a problem if they were gonna pay out of the association fundraisers?
Does the association have any money?
I think they have about,
So we gotta
I
hold
remember right,
off,
about
so my
12,000.
advice would be, let's hold off on the jaws
Until we.
until we get that legal opinion.
Yeah, I had to get legal on that.
All right,
So is that all?
Hopefully we can.
and we'll make a motion ahead of time. So I can come to you and say, yes, they voted, the association has voted to donate
Wait, what?
as long as
on our
it's
end.
legal.
Oh,
Fire department.
As
all
long as it's legal.
Right, if the
I'll
time
ask,
comes.
I'll
we'll
ask
do-
and see. if
So
it's
what
legal.
else you gotta do
For,
for him?
that's all, I'll whip up,
Make it work.
I'll adjust the contract.
We would like to try to make this work, but I wanna be within the limits of,
The law.
I'll adjust the contract, see what Nick's organization says, and I'll run it past the lawyer, and then we'll bring you guys something to sign in 3 weeks. At the next
Fire
Maybe
truck won't
the
be
exact
done in
number,
3 weeks.
the
No, it
exact
won't.
number of what we're gonna, what they're donating and all that stuff too.
Yeah, I
Write
have,
that
it's
down.
1312,
Yeah,
I
if I'm
think.
just saying, if you can get it on, I know you probably got it, but
Okay.
just so that way we can
Yep.
decipher.
Yep, we got it.
I would just like to throw it out there, if you need some help getting a truck down there someday, I would be more than happy to volunteer my time.
Thank you.
If we have to do it, I don't know what arrangements are gonna be made, but just
I talked to the
out there.
salesman today, and he said he'll probably be coming up with the owner either Friday or
pick it up.
Monday
Oh,
to get exact measures on the doors and stuff that they have to order. That's gonna take some time to get in.
Yeah.
They're gonna order them. They're gonna go over any questions they may have with us. And then they're gonna tell us it probably won't be for a few weeks till they want even the truck down there.
Right, I don't blame them.
Just because they have to wait for inventory to come
Get
in.
it in and
There's no sense of it sitting
not
there.
have it sitting outside in the city somewhere.
Yeah, we're ready for the road trip, so.
So if you ever need any help,
Yep.
keep me in mind. Thank you. Anything else we can do for you?
I've sort of done a little research here with Joe on filling this new position that Matt Woodbury, seeing that his last shift is tomorrow. I feel something that the fire department is missing right now is somebody that's one of the full-timers. There's 4 full-timers. As you know, Kevin Madison retired a couple years ago. He was a captain. Dave Wakeman was a lieutenant, and he moved to South Carolina. Right now, they're all capable of handling themselves, but I think it would be good for this new position to have somebody in there in some type of a leadership role. And I'm not saying anybody that's on the department now, but I'm saying that we hire
You want to hire a captain.
a line officer, which is considered either a lieutenant or a captain, that would actually have some
outside.
supervision and help not only me throughout the week, but help supervise these guys, keep them on track, have a little more accountability
You want
at
to
the
hire a
station.
manager.
No, they're still, well,
Oh,
Technically.
you want to
they're
hire
gonna have,
somebody.
they'll be a firefighter, but they're gonna have manageable responsibilities, and they'll report directly to me. They'll be responsible for several additional tasks, from inspections,
I'm okay with that.
you know,
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good idea.
obviously, it's gonna, the downside, it's gonna cost more money once you add a title to a
Yeah, but
position.
you got that in your budget, right?
Because Kevin was a captain at the time. Obviously, in my opinion, the best person for this job would be a paramedic that would be a captain. Because then you can oversee all the medical.
So what, I'm okay with paying that position more. You have the money in your budget though, right?
Joe and I would have to look closely, but, we would have enough for this year, and then in the future, it depends on what we decide for an hourly cost, really, what step, what grade.
So it's just something you'd have to budget.
I think it's gonna have to be, depending on the qualifications, if we get somebody that we really like that's an EMT, but we think he's gonna make the huge difference,
I think
his pay
that-
would be less than a
I think if we had to
paramedic.
increase the budget because we hired a captain, that's justifiable and through budget process.
I mean, we've briefly looked at some numbers the other day, briefly, but the pay is the biggest challenge that we would
I think
have.
it's something we can definitely look into. I mean, we have to get that person to come and apply first.
Yeah, I don't-
It's a huge, you know.
It's just if we put it out there, we might draw a different, you're not gonna get a seasoned veteran applying for
No,
a
but
basic
you're gonna get
firefighting job.
somebody,
But if you advertise as this position, you will get better candidates, or at least we would hope. But
I think that's gonna draw somebody as they're gonna mount to the greenbacks.
so you
That's gonna be-
you actually think this might take some discussion, right? Joe?
I need to give you guys some information on that, yes.
Do you have anything else?
so I guess, would it be okay to post it? I mean, it would depend
Can
on
we post it,
qualifications.
can we post it as lieutenant?
Well, I was wondering if you could almost post it as both that way in the long run if it doesn't.
Lieutenant / possible captain, I mean, based on qualifications or something.
We could come up with a way where, we might limit ourselves too much. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell until people start applying.
I just hate to go too far the other way, and then we couldn't afford the person afterwards.
That's-
So that's the way I'm looking at
I
it.
think if we keep it,
What if you wrote like something like looking for
Do you-
lieutenant
what-
/ captain, but
what do you-
willing to
what do you-
accept
you-
something lower?
You gotta, do you have a you got some captains right now, right?
we have one captain, Vince Bain. He's a call member, so.
It's a call number,
But
yeah, so-
he's not an EMT, which.
How much is a captain, what's the captain's, is that,
Range
pay-
and-
what's the pay scale for a captain?
I looked up on the NHMA website, and they ranged, the average is about $20, $19.89. But that's just,
$20 an hour?
yeah, but that's just fire captain, that doesn't include a
that
paramedic
was on the low
cert,
side,
so that would cost you a little bit more.
The pay is.
I mean, I'll put it out this way, I'm looking for the two of you to tell me, Scott, Scott, the board, we can make this work, or we're gonna need more money. I'm gonna need those answers.
This year, I know we can make it work.
But then you got the guy hired, what kind of,
Yeah,
you see where I'm going with this?
You want the budget numbers, how it's
I
gonna look
need to
this
know
year.
how much it's gonna cost this year, and if he gets hired full-time, what is the increase to the budget?
Another aspect to look at this, which would affect that, is and this might have to be in negotiations, would be, would this person work like these guys are working now, 2 24-hour shifts, or would this person work like 4 10-hour days? So that would be 48 hours versus 40 hours, or it almost is, in my eyes, it would be a little better if this person
But-
maybe
but
worked 4
don't-
10-hour days.
To make your thing work,
Yep.
don't you have to have 2 people on full-time all the time? Like you're saying.
Well, he's either got a full-timer or a part-time.
If you want to add another couple $100,000 to the
No,
budget.
what I'm saying is,
So this is how we handle it now.
When we structured this,
Right.
we had it so that you always had 2 guys on.
Not always.
Well,
We don't,
certain nights.
yeah, a few nights.
We're
a
gonna do the
week.
weekends, we're gonna be covered by volunteers. It's when the plan was first floated.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this has been going on for 3-4 years now that we've sort of gone this route, but there are certain times where there's only 1 person on duty, and then that's supplemented by volunteers. We try to make that at night because that's when the most volunteers are around, because typically most work during the day.
All right. So let's get some solid numbers together before we proceed.
Well, I think they need to throw it out there now and
That's what I'm
at
wondering,
least
if we
get
can
it out there.
advertise,
The
but make
pay
it
can
more
be
of an open.
negotiable a week or 2 from now, but it's gonna be that long before they get anybody into,
Yeah, I know, but, okay,
How do you-
I'm okay with going out and hiring a captain. I'm fine with that.
the money part.
I just wanna know how much the budget's gonna go up.
I agree with you.
I
I agree with
So,
you.
it's kinda like putting the cart before the horse.
I know it is, but
So what do you wanna do? I mean, I'm fine with this, but,
there's many jobs out there that are advertised that don't say in the paper what it's gonna pay you when you start. That happens when you come for an interview or when you get, the next step into where you're interested, so.
What if you worded it something like, looking for full-time, what's the position now? How would you do it if you weren't looking for a captain? How would it be worded? If you just put,
well, you
Firefighter-
wanted firefighter, EMT, firefighter, paramedic, in a management position.
yeah,
Managerial position to be determined.
based on
And if
experience.
somebody says, well, what do you mean to be determined? You could say in the phone, we're trying to decide if it's gonna be a lieutenant or captain, we haven't finalized that. We're
Well,
looking-
what some people do is they'll add in, making an,
Pay to compensate
making an
based on
eligibility list. That way, say the person doesn't work out because money, or that person doesn't accept it, whatever, you have a list of just general firefighters that you can hire from, that you think may be suitable for the job.
based
I was
on
just thinking if we
eligibility.
got it out there sooner than later.
Oh, yeah, because
That
we're
was my way.
gonna be struggling, I'll be honest with you,
All
we're
right,
gonna
if
be
you wanna
struggling.
go ahead, post it.
Yeah,
I mean,
based on
if
eligibility.
that's your ask, you just post it. And then we'll figure out the numbers.
Just be
later.
careful how you word it so we don't get caught up, that's
I'll
all.
work with Joe this next couple of days and we'll make sure.
I would like to get it out there as soon as we can, because I know you're gonna struggle and
Luckily, one girl just came back from college, and she's gonna pick up some extra shifts that has been around for a couple of years, so.
great. Anything else?
One of the, just so you know, engine 3's at Burgess's right now, went there today for an inspection and a lack of power. We thought it might be an issue with the turbo, luckily it was only the, now I'm going blank on the filter for the turbo, wasn't getting enough
Here.
air through it. So that's on shipment tonight. Hopefully it should be fixed tomorrow. Because when we really needed a lot of power, it just either hills or pumping water, it wasn't there. So,
Is this the engine we had trouble with before, or is this a different one?
not the one with the motor engine, the motor trouble.
It's a different truck.
This is the older truck. So we just had them pump tested the other day and,
Well, that's good news. Minor.
yeah.
Thank
so-
you. Have a
Hey,
good night.
thanks, Nick.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, you ready?
Moving forward, what are we doing now?
This, a permit.
I know.
Permit's the
beat-
last
for the-
thing, right?
I don't know.
I have to let you gentlemen know that Donna Bunker is going to have a Pied Piper of Harlem
Yeah, I did
summer
see
reading
that.
program. And there is a swim to save Bennett Island leaving from Bennett Bridge Beach, and they have their permit and a map for the Board of Selectmen.
Do we have to approve that?
You do not. That was already approved by the state.
I'm not getting involved in that. They still want to buy that island?
Yeah, they're still
All
having
right,
that
so
bridge. Okay, so if you look at your
Packets,
plans, yep,
pull up plans out of the packet.
yep, we plan out of the packet, the second plan you're gonna be looking at.
Yeah, why don't we? That's a good idea.
What?
No, I'll
Let's
look
go
at
look on
yours.
yours.
Yeah, just go.
So we don't have to have 3 huge packets out. Let's do it on one.
What do you want to do?
You getting yours?
The engineers came in today. The retaining wall that goes from the parking lot to the,
Next to the thing that's sunk in, the telephone pole.
the parking lot to the beach, they originally had a 3-foot gap there for drainage. I told them the selectmen did not want that, and they're gonna shrink it down to about a foot, but that's as tight as they can get it because they need drainage to go through there.
It's gonna be full with stone or something?
They're gonna fill it with stone, and then there's a pipe that goes through there to allow the water to drain out. So there is gonna be a gap, but it needs to be there.
Yeah, how about, and the only place it won't be, hopefully, is in front of the stairs going onto the beach. I would hope that we could
Put a railing?
do the little part where the stairs go down, if it's gonna run all the way across there.
The
That would
gravel,
be,
He doesn't want to have a space where the stairs come in so people walking down the beach aren't going to trip over the,
right, the gravel.
I'll let them know that.
Just
see
something
what
I'm
they can
throwing
do
out
there,
there
yeah.
for a question.
I mean, I'm thinking that, like, you're saying that I come down the stairs and there's going to be like
Yeah, space.
a trench, basically.
Before the stairs, it's
Oh,
gonna
it's
be,
gonna be filled with stone.
yeah, but it's gonna be in front of the
But-
stairs.
Yeah,
All
but
the
I
way
mean, there's,
across.
we will make sure that it's
You want
not
to
in
make sure
front
it's
of
not a
the
safety
stairs.
concern.
Yeah,
if
there is
somebody's
not
gonna
gonna,
fall.
there is not gonna be a safety concern with these stairs.
Okay.
No,
The engineers will make sure.
I was just hoping that we could pave the little part by the stairs and so people would have
Well,
smooth
then it won't
walking.
drain, though.
Yeah, well, it's only gonna be
Yeah, it's only about that.
All right. What
4 or
else?
5
Okay,
feet wide.
We're good. What else?
They have the stairs in the middle of the parking lot.
Either that or put a grate there, whatever we have to do to make it work in front of the stairs.
So they have the stairs in the middle of the parking lot.
Stairs are in the middle of
cool.
the parking lot.
Yeah.
Is that okay with the Board of Selectmen?
I think it's a good idea to
I
have
like
them
it.
there.
Fine.
The construction on this plan, it explicitly says removing the logs from underneath the parking lot, which we talked about.
Awesome.
So he knew he was gonna do it, but they made it explicit.
So,
He's gonna remove the railroad ties.
Yes,
Right.
because we wanted those out anyways.
yeah, and he was gonna do it, but we had him write it in just so there's no
Because you was
confusion.
concerned that it was going to collapse, but
Yeah.
they're going
The
to make it
stone's
work.
gonna hold it,
All right.
if that's the
Yeah,
case.
he's saying he's gonna support it. They made some tweaks to the ramp itself. It's gonna be 12 feet wide instead of 10,
Okay.
because the logs come in that size.
Nice.
The ramp, and this is because of the type of permit, it's gonna be 20 feet into the water, not 50, because if they dredge out that much, we go to the higher level of permitting, which means we would have to mitigate wetlands
So does
elsewhere.
that make it cheaper if we're doing a shorter ramp?
No. Yeah, I asked that. On the excavation side, it may make a difference and make it
Not
cheaper.
that much, believe me.
Yeah, it's a-
It'll be
All right, what
minute.
else?
the total length of the ramp is about 55 feet, and we're increasing the depth at the lowest point by 4 feet.
That's good.
So,
And you just got to send this in and gets approved by the state.
yes, but I wanted to let the Board of Selectmen know what this was and let you review it.
I make a motion to allow Rick to sign all these on behalf of the Board of Selectmen.
I'll second that motion.
All right, thank you.
So I have to sign this.
Not
No,
those.
you have to, I made a motion.
Yeah.
DJ, second.
Any discussion?
All in
Seeing
favor?
none?
Aye. And now I'll make a motion for adjournment.
Unless there's something else that needs to come before the board. Any,
I just had one
any
quick comment.
any town administrator report or selectmen's reports
I
before we
just had
adjourn?
one quick comment.
No, sir, I'm okay.
We have a hole on, what the heck, I asked you the road.
What happened to the trash can that was in here?
What's the road
So-
I asked you about earlier? Right by
Tasker.
On Tasker
Oh.
Hill Road, near the town line, we have a hole that is a couple inches deep and a good-sized hole that should be repaired. I know there's been some controversy over whether it was in Stratford or Northwood. The Stratford road agent said where he quit paving is the town line. So the hole needs to be filled in because it's a couple inches deep,
We'll get the guys out there.
ASAP if possible.
We'll have them do it tomorrow.
Whenever, I'm not putting that much pressure on it, but Maybe it's already been taken care of. I didn't go by and look at it today, so if it's been taken care of, great. One other thing I wanted to bring up, we got our backhoe fixed, right?
We did.
We are still ditching with the front bucket. And I'm just afraid that us ditching with the front bucket is gonna cause more damage to the machine because of the age.
My question is why
Next thing, the transmission or something's gonna be gone because we're ditching with the front bucket.
my
And I
question
have a
is
concern
why are we
about that.
ditching? Didn't we bid that out?
Well, normally we do, but I don't know what's going on and I'm not going there, but
I don't understand why we would be doing it if we bid it out. That's just my question. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be doing it because maybe the guy that bid it out is not doing it. My question is why? Are we doing it if we bid it out? That's just my question. Is there a reason, Joe, that we're doing it if we bid it out?
It was bid out. I know the contractor, he was a little busy, and the work schedule was compressed this summer, so the highway department needed to get the ditches done. It was just a time constraint this time around.
I'm just afraid by digging a lot with that front bucket.
Yeah, why would they use the
next
front
thing
bucket to
we're gonna
ditch?
need a transmission.
It's the only thing that'll get it. They can't use the big bucket.
Well, they use the front bucket, not
The
the
front
rear
bucket
bucket.
is not the rear, but they should be using the rear bucket to dig, not the front.
That's what they're doing.
No, they're using the
No, they're
front.
using the rear bucket, front bucket quite a bit to dig.
To ditch? No,
Yeah.
he does not. I hope
I'm
I
telling
hope
you.
he doesn't.
I'm telling you,
Okay, I'll ask about his ditching and what's up.
All right,
It's good.
I gotta get supper tonight.
that's fine.
Scott's
End it.
thirsty.
I'm ready.
Scott's
You made the-
thirsty.
You made the motion?
Scott did,
I
yeah.
make a motion to
All in
adjourn.
favor?
I'll second.
Say aye.
Aye.
It's over.